What is going on, guys? This is Miasin. So I want to say the Spright deck got a little bit of a boost from the ban list because of Spright starter going from 2 to 3, but it's a little deeper than that because the deck is also going to be getting indirect support in the near future, and it's going to be boosting the deck quite a lot, I want to say. It is going to add consistency to the deck because there's going to be new ways of getting your stuff going with one single card, but also the power level because you're going to have easier access to some really nasty Omni Negates. And of course, today I will be showing you guys some combos as well as the deck profile. But before we go any further, I would really love you guys even more than I already do if you could smash the like and subscribe button. There you go, you're the best, and now let's get right into it. Alright, so combo number one, I mean, there's like infinite things that you can do with one Nimble Beaver, but if you don't want to play the Melfi cards, then don't worry, you can still do some nice things. So we're going to be special summoning the Nimble Angler and then link off into the Sprint, and then you can send the Angler and then summon the Double Beaver, and then you can go into Gigantic, and that is going to allow you to summon the Swap Frog from the deck. And this is where it gets really interesting. So obviously if you already have like your Spright Blue or Jet, whatever, then this is even better because you're going to have access to obviously the good Spright engine as well as the Swap Frog engine, which now leads to a Toad because you don't have to rely on Ronin Toadin. You can send the Mirror Magic of the Ice Bearer, and then you can search your deck for the Freezing Chains. There you go. I forgot the name even though I play Ice Bearer a lot. And that's the Monster Reborn, so you can revive back the Mirror Magic right away, and then you can overlay into a Toad, and just like that, we've got 2 interruptions off of one single card. So Spright Sprint can bounce back a monster whenever a monster is special summoned by detaching 1 material from one of your Xyz monsters, and then Toad is an Omni Negate. So it's either that, or we go for the Melfi things, which would allow you to go into Herald of Arclight, and obviously you have like the Joyce Melfis or something, which also is like a negate, and you would still have the Spright Sprint. It's not too bad, but I mean, like, do you really need that? Maybe yes, maybe no. It depends, but obviously, like I said, it's just some extra bricks that maybe you don't really want in your deck. So obviously Toad is a very nice card, and if you have like Double Cross, then it's even better because then you can revive back the Toad after using its effect because it is not a hard once per turn. So that's it for combo number 1. Let's get into combo number 2. Alrighty, so I already showed how Nimble Beaver is already a full one card combo, obviously, but Swap Frog is the exact same, and if you have Spright Blue, then you can play even more. But every path leads to Rome. I mean, every combo is the exact same. Anyways, normal summon Swap Frog, and then send the Mirror Magic, and then search your Freezing Chains, and then special summon the Spright Blue, search for your Jet, and then revive back the Mirror Magic, and then overlay for a Toad on summon number 4. Or 3, no 4, yeah, I suck at maths, and then summon the Jet, search the Double Cross, which is insane with the Toad, and then link off into the Sprint, send the Angler into Double Beaver, and then you're going to be going into a Gigantic, obviously, and that's going to be either summoning the Red or the Carrot. It depends on what you want the most. But yeah, this is actually quite a lot of interruptions, even though it doesn't look like it. You have a Toad that can negate twice because of the Double Cross, and then you got the Carrot and you got the Spright Sprint. Or if you don't want to negate twice with the Toad, you can still steal, like, you can steal an opponent's monster. Or you could, I mean, yeah, stealing a monster is pretty insane from the graveyard or from the field. Basically, like, unbreakable, and it's very easy to achieve. And it's not really like you have to be afraid of like too many hand traps by doing that, because again, you're summoning the Toad very early. Like the Swap Frog can also send the Testudo Eratnemen at this point, and then you can provide back with the Spright Double Cross, which is very filthy. Anyways, now let's get into the deck profile. Alright, so for the deck list, I mean, it's very simple, or at least I try to make it as simple as possible, so basically everyone can understand what this deck is trying to do, even if you are completely new to the Spright deck. It's kind of like a Glue Eater deck. If you want to make it a Glue Eater deck, or if you want to make it complicated, there's also other ways of doing so. I mean, you can look at Din Kang's Fam deck list and approach to it. It's actually very nice. He's playing Board Breakers instead of Hand Traps. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the way to go moving forward, but Hand Traps obviously will never disappoint you because they interact against all kinds of strategies like FTKs, Hand Loops, and real combos, whereas Board Breakers, you know, obviously if you're getting a hand loop by like Dark World or something, then it's not going to be leading to too much. But you do have to know when to interact with your opponent, obviously. But if you want to play hand traps, the best ones are definitely Droll, Ash, Valor, and Imperm. Nibiru is not really good this format, honestly. I put a lot of thought into it. It's only really good against the player and against a certain level of greed of the player, but never against the deck itself. Like, every deck is just so insanely resilient that even certain one-card combos can play through Nib. It's really stupid, or at least get some form of resources under or through Nib. But yeah, these 4 hand traps will definitely get you places. But you can also play some other form of non-engine cards such as Kashtira Fenrir. This card is extremely good in this deck because it applies pressure and it gives you a body that gives you removal that can just jump over things because your monsters are kind of low attack. So you just need a big monster that can push, and it gets you another search. So you can link off the Fenrir and another monster into a sprint and then get your stuff going. So that's even better. And yeah, it's just a good card overall. This deck is also extremely resilient to hand traps, but if you want to play triple tactic talents, you can definitely do that as well. So yeah, this is to punish your opponent for dueling you, or for ashing you, or for veiling you, but not for impriming, obviously. And this deck is basically never losing to Nibiru because there's just so many ways of playing around it. So either you summon the red and then you negate the Nibiru, or you summon a Toad early, or you go into Gigantic Spright early and then use its effect, because your opponent will no longer be able to use or rather special summon any monster that isn't level, rank, or linked to monster. I mean, it affects both players, but for you it's not really something to be concerned with because all of your monsters for the most part are level, rank, or linked twos, except for Fenrir and Downed Magician, Zeus, and Typhon. That's basically the only exceptions in your whole deck and extra deck. And then obviously 3 copies of Spright Starter. This card is insane, and it's now a 3. It was a 2 before, but the balance definitely boosted this deck. And 1 Spright Double Cross. I want to say it's a little better than Spright Smashers, at least if you're going first. Smashers can kind of be used going second. But without Elf, this deck has a slightly worse, grind game in a way, like a worse follow-up play. And Double Cross doesn't really make you go neg. If anything, it makes you go plus. But Spright Smashers, you have to banish a card from the grave and on the field in order to banish a card your opponent controls. So I would side deck this card, but I wouldn't necessarily main deck it. And Gamma Burst is another card that you can play, by the way. But I'm going to go into these cards very soon, because I still have to talk about the Nimbles. So 3 Beaver and 2 Anglers. Kind of makes sense. You don't want to play 2 and 1. That's not going to be enough, and obviously these cards are good to draw. Swap Frog discarding Nimble Angler is also extremely good, and Swap Frog as a normal summon is also very good, because it is able to send the Mirror Magic, so you search the Freezing Chains, and you either go for a Spright combo using 2 level 2 monsters, or you go for a Toad, so if you got any of your Juice extenders like Blue or Jet, you know what to do. I showcased the combo, so it's really, really simple. And yeah, for the Spright monsters that negate, so 2 red, 1 carrot. Carrot negates spells and traps, red negate monster effects. This can negate hand traps, so that's the reason why it's a 2. But if you want to, you can cut the second red for 1 copy of Pixies, which is kind of like an honest. And it's actually pretty good. Naturally makes sense, 3 jet and 3 blue. So for the extra deck, I'm on 1 Typhon as well as Zeus, Downed Magician, and Toad. With the Mannequin Cat, this card has a lot of insane targets in the side deck, but even the main deck you can do some nice things. So if your opponent is playing Fire King, you can summon a red or a carrot off of your opponent's monsters, so that's cool. And if your opponent summons a Fenrir, you can summon your own Fenrir, so that's always nice. And if your opponent is shiftering you, you can summon Chaos Hunter, and then you are unshiftered, which is pretty cute. You can do some nice things, actually, with Mannequin Cat. But again, I will cover that very soon. Purely Plump, this is another nice rank 2 monster that you can play in this deck. You can actually make a 6 material Zeus with this card, because you can attach 2 spells and traps from either graveyard, and then you go into a Down Earth and then to a Zeus. So yeah, that's actually adorable. Anyways, Ninja Shadow Mosquito, another card that allows you to make a 4 material Zeus, basically regardless of what is on your opponent's field, because it can't be destroyed by battle. Or you can straight up OTK with this card. If you've got 3 monsters in attack position or something, or 4, and then your opponent has a monster with 2700 attack. I forgot the maths. If someone is good with it in the comment section, let me know. But basically the goal is to attack, and then your opponent takes damage equal to the attack of the monster that you're attacking into once he gets the hallucination counter off of the first attack. So it's actually really cute, but it's very similar to the Mikanko OTK in a way, kind of, because you're almost reflecting the damage, but I think you're taking it as well, but then your opponent is also taking it, so it's he's gonna die before you, basically. Anyways, 1 Jin Buster, because it's Omni Negate, well, not at all, actually. Negates a monster effect, and you can summon it using just 2 level 2 dark monsters. So I want to say it's semi-generic, but yeah, negates monster effects. And then 2 Gigantic, 1 Sprint, 1 Dark. I don't know if this should really come up too often, but I mean, the extra deck is not super tight. You can play Onimaru Soul Sweeper instead. And then SPL Knight, obviously this card is insane, especially in this deck. And then Masquerina and Beakoff because of the Ably log that I'm considering in the side deck. Now, this is the reason why I really wanted to make a video on Spright. It's because post game 1, it's one of the most dangerous decks in the game, because they can lock you out by using some really unfair floodgates. So if you're playing against a deck like Purely or a light-based deck, once they summon a light monster, or if they Veiler you, you can summon it back with a Mannequin Cat, and then you can target it and special summon Christia from the deck. That is really nasty, and the Purely monsters, all of them are fairies, so even if they summon a dark one, you can still summon Christia, which is extremely unfair because they don't really have any outs to it. It's even if they go triple tactic talents to steal, they're still locked under their their own Christia that they stole. They can't link it off, and they can't really tribute unless they have like Nibiru that they can tribute summon over, which is kind of bad actually. So yeah, Christia is insane. And then Chaos Hunter, like I said, for Shifter, Spell Canceller for Droll and Logbird, which is also very good. Yeah, you got like each flavor of the rainbow. Droll equals Spell Canceller, Ash equals Red or Carrot, Veiler equals Christia, Imperms equal nothing because it's not a monster, unfortunately, Bernard. But yeah, we also have Nightmare Corruptor Ibli that you can summon off of Gigantic, and then you go for a Beat Cop, and then you tribute it, and then you protect the Ibli, so that they can't crash the Ibli, and then you have no monsters in attack anymore, which is pretty insane. And then this to the Aradnaman, the combo where you go Toad, summon the Swamp Frog, and then send that, because Swamp Frog can send any Aqua monster. Toad can only summon a Frog monster. So you send that, and then you go Spright Double Cross, Revive back. So it's either Ibli or Testudo, because they kind of just do the same thing. And yeah, another card that I think is really cool is EMP Grim Youd. So it's a free extender that you can summon if there's a Link monster in any graveyard. And then whenever one of your Link 2 monsters is either sent to the graveyard or banished face up, you get to banish it from the hand or grave, and then bounce back a face up card your opponent controls. Sorry, I lied. Actually, you get to bounce back any card your opponent controls, even if it's face down. So it could be a nice out to like skill drain and floodgates and stuff like that. So it's a cool card for sure. And then Nibiru, another hand shop. And then okay, this is where it gets really cool. Bestials in this deck, they interact really well with Swamp Frog, because if you summon, let's say, a Magnamote or a Juice Worm on your opponent's turn, it's not just a body that does nothing. You can go Swamp Frog, bounce it back, and then keep it as a hand shop for the future. And with Magnamote, you just keep looping the searches over and over. So yeah, it's even better to play in tandem with Swamp Frog now. Very nice interaction. And yeah, if you want to play the Melfies, you can, but like you can't really mix them up with like the Mirror Magic and the Freezing Chains, because then it's going to be way too many non-Spright cards and you're going to start breaking. Honestly, the Iceberry package is much better in this deck, because again, it turns Swamp Frog into an additional one-card starter, whereas the Melfies, they don't really turn anything into like a one-card starter. They just make you extend when you're already playing the game. That's what I don't really like about them. And they're also bricks, actually. So yeah, it's less good. Anyways, Omnimaru, great card. You can play it actually over Dark if you want to. Bujin Kihashima, thank God we no longer have to play this garbage in order to make Toad, because Hashima to summon one from the hand and one from the grave with Swamp Frog is just shit. It's much better to summon like naturally the Toad. So yeah, that's nice. And then Prosperity if you want to, but they would just make you lose to Droll for no reason. And this deck is already very consistent and can play through Droll, because you can use Spright Starter on the draw phase, or you can summon the red before you get your first search. So yeah, it's really just never beating you. Anyways, Gamma Burst, obviously, very good card. It's good to OTK your opponent going second, but also to protect your monsters if you're going first. So you could even main deck this card, honestly. I think it's really nice. And then one Spright Smashers, I already explained it, but I would rather play Double Cross instead. And finally, Enemy Controller, which is universally good going first or second. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about Spright in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.